In this video, I will show you how to multiply one matrix times another matrix. Now, the first thing you need to do is to make sure that the matrix multiplication is defined. Make sure it's possible. And you do that by taking a look at the dimensions. Now, this first matrix is a 2 by 2 matrix. It has 2 rows and 2 columns. The second matrix is also a 2 by 2 matrix. Now, for matrix multiplication to work, the inner dimensions have to be the same. So, see how these two dimensions match? That means this is going to be possible. Now, to find out the dimensions of the product, your final answer, you look at the outer dimensions. So, see the 2 and the 2? Our final answer will be a 2 by 2 matrix. Now that's really important because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a large empty matrix that has the right dimensions. And this is where we will show our work. So since I know my final answer will be a 2 by 2 matrix, I'm going to set up a big giant 2 by 2 matrix. Now, we are going to multiply rows by columns. And as I do this, all of my rows are going to come from the first matrix, and all of my columns will come from the second matrix. So, to find this element, I stop and think that this element is in row 1 and column 1. That means I need to multiply row 1 times column 1. So that will look like this. Row 1 is 2, negative 3. Even though it's a row, I still write it vertically. Column 1 is the 3, negative 2. So I multiply row 1 by column 1. If I do this, I'm going to get 2 times 3, that's 6. And then negative 3 times negative 2, that is also 6. If I add these numbers together, I get 12. So that is going to be the entry for my final answer in the first row and the first column. So I just need to do that 3 more times. Now, for this entry, I need to stop and think. This is the entry that is in the first row and the second column. That means I need to multiply the first row times the second column. Alright, so the first row, again, is 2, negative 3. The second column is negative 2, 0. If I multiply these together, I'm going to get negative 4 and 0. If I add this up, I'm going to get negative 4. So this is going to be the entry in the final answer for the first row, second column. Now, if I want to find the entry that goes in the second row, first column, then I need to multiply the second row times the first column. So here I go. Second row, first column. Okay, the second row is 4, 1. The second column, the first column is 3, negative 2. If I multiply these together, I get 12 and negative 2. If I add these up, I get 10. So this will be the entry in the second row and first column. One more time. This is the entry that is in the second row and the second column. So if I want to find it, I need to multiply the second row times the second column. So the second row is 4, 1. The second column is -2, 0. If I multiply these together, I'm going to get -8 and 0. I add them up, and that makes -8. So, for my final answer, I will put 12, -4, 10, -8. Alright, this is the final answer. Alright, let's do another example. Let's look at problem number 2. First things first, let's make sure that this is doable. The first matrix is a 2 by 3 matrix. 2 rows, 3 columns. The second matrix is a 3 by 2 matrix. 3 by 2. 3 rows, 2 columns. This matrix multiplication will only be possible if the inner dimensions are the same. Since these dimensions are both 3, this is going to be possible. Now, I need to know the dimensions of the product. The dimensions of my final answer will come from these numbers, the outer numbers, 2 and 2. So the final product will be a 2 by 2 matrix. That is important right now because I need to set up a big empty 2 by 2 matrix to show my work in. Okay, now remember, I'm going to be multiplying rows by columns. All the rows are going to come from the first matrix. All the columns are going to come from the second matrix. So, this first entry is in row 1 and column 1. Therefore, I will multiply row 1 times column 1. So row 1 is 2, 1, 5. Okay, column 1 is 1, -4, 4. If I multiply these together, I'm going to get 2, -4, and 20. Now I need to add these all up. Let's see, that would be 16 plus 2, that's 18. Alright, that's the first entry. Now, if I want to find this entry right here, this entry is in the first row and second column. So that means I need to multiply the first row times the second column. Okay, so my first row is 2, 1, 5. Can you hear my daughter playing the piano? Never had a lesson. Bet you can't even tell. -5, -6, -2. Okay, so I'm multiplying the first row by the second column, since I'm looking for the entry that's in the first row and the second column. If I do this, I will get -10, -6, and -10 again. If I add these up, let's see, -10 and -10, that's -20. So I will have -26. So this will be the entry for the first row, second column. Now let's find the entry that is in the second row, first column. So that means I need to multiply the second row times the first column. Okay, so second row, this is 3, 6, -1. And we need to multiply by the first column. 1, -4, 4. Okay, if I multiply these together, I will get 3, -24, and -4. Now I need to add all these up. -24 and -4 will be -28. -28 and a +3, that would be -25. If I want to find this entry right here, I need to recognize that this entry is in the second row and the second column. That means I need to multiply the second row times the second column. Okay, so the second row, I'm talking 3, 6, -1. And then the second column, that is -5, -6, -2. If I multiply these together, I'm going to get -15, -12, and +2. -12 and +2 is -10. -10 and -15 is -25. So this will be the entry in the second row, second column. So looking at the numbers in the boxes here, which represent my final answer, pulling those out, the product, my final answer, will be 18, -26, -25, and another -25. So this will be the final answer. Let's do another example. First, let's make sure that this product is possible. The dimensions of the first matrix are 3 by 1 because it has 3 rows and 1 column. The dimensions of the second matrix are 1 by 3 because it has 1 row and 3 columns. Now, this will be possible only if the inner dimensions are the same. See how the inner dimensions are both 1? That means this product is possible. Now, the outer dimensions, you can see, will tell you the dimensions of the final answer, the dimensions of the product. So my final answer will be a 3 by 3 matrix. Now that's super important because as I set up to do my work, I need to draw a giant 3 by 3 matrix. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I have enough room. Okay, so let's go. Remember, as I multiply, I'm going to be multiplying rows by columns. All my rows are going to come from the first matrix, and all my columns are going to come from the second matrix. Okay, now this time, to make things go faster, I'm going to write down all my rows at once, and I'm going to write down all my columns at once. So let's start with this. All of these entries are in row 1. So for that reason, when I multiply, I'm going to be multiplying them all using row 1. So all of these will have a 3. Okay, because that's row 1. Now, if I move down a row, okay, all of these entries are in row 2. So they will all be multiplying with row 2, which is just simply 0. Alright, I might have made this a little too big. Okay, now I'm going to move down again. All of these entries are in row 3. And oh look, here's row 3. So all of these entries will involve multiplying by 1. Okay, so we've taken care of the rows now. Now let's do the columns. All of these entries are in column 1. So they will all be multiplying by column 1. So -1 all the way down. Okay. Next. All of these entries are in column 2. So in every case we will multiply by column 2. So I will multiply everything by -2 here. And finally, all of these entries are in column 3, which means they will all be multiplied by column 3. Alright, so this is going to give me -3 and -6 and 30 and 0 and 0 and 0. A lot of zeros going on. And -1 and -2 and 10. So these purple numbers represent my final answer. So the final answer will be -3, -6, 30, 0, 0, 0, -1, -2, 10. This will be the final answer, the product. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and click here in the red apple to watch the next video. Click in the green apple to subscribe, or click the yellow apple for the full playlist.